Hi, I'm Mayor Jay Tipsray, and welcome to this edition of Chandler Inside and Out. Today, it's my privilege to have in studio two of our neighboring cities and towns, actually our neighboring towns mayors. They're both towns. The town of Gilbert, Mayor Jen Daniels, town of Queen Creek, Mayor Gail Barney. Thank you both for coming out, and
Thank you.
we hope to spend a little time over the next half hour finding out a little bit more about you, finding out more about your towns. And I'm going to have one of you explain what's the difference between a town and a city, but we'll get into that in a little bit. But I think we'll start with you, Mayor Daniels.
Sure.
Maybe a little bit about your background, how you got on the city council, where you grew up, then how you got on the council, then what prompted you, I think, a couple of years ago to run for mayor.
Yeah, absolutely. So I grew up in Oakland, California, and married a boy from Mesa. And I knew that when I married him, it was a package deal and that I would live in Arizona. And it was a great decision all the way around. So I'm grateful now to be a Gilbert resident. And I've been a Gilbert resident since 2005. We have 4 kids and we love our town and we're very proud of the accomplishments of our community. And I saw an option in 2009 to run for council. I just saw maybe another voice that I could add to the dialogue and conversation. Right. And so I ran for council and then ran for a second term in 2012. And in 2016, decided to make the leap to mayor and ran for mayor. And I have loved every minute of it.
Yeah, you're doing a great job.
Thanks. It's really fun.
So in 2009, when you ran for council, were you on a board or commission, or was there some defining activity where you said, hey, I'm going to extend my service, or I'm going to do this, and I'm running for council?
No, actually, I had worked on a couple different ballot initiatives that were state ballot initiatives, and maybe got bit by the political bug, let's call it.
Yeah.
But even then, I actually thought my husband would have been a great council member. So I got the packet and brought it home for him. And he said to me, why don't you go do it? So,
interesting.
Careful how that table, apparently I'm not as persuasive as I thought I was.
And you've done a good job because, Gilbert, sometimes that can be some tough politics in Gilbert. You got people with definite ideas about things, and you've done a really good job of kind of navigating that and building that coalition on your council. And you guys are very unified and very progressive in terms of looking out to the future. It's really been good to watch.
Well, as you both know, it's really all about the people. And if we're making decisions that have actual solutions behind them, it's a lot easier to bring people along and also to explain your process when you have a solution that you're aiming towards. And I think as mayors, that's our job, is to find solutions.
So that brings us to Mayor Barney Mayor Gail Barney from the town of Queen Creek. Talk a little bit about, you're kind of like me. I think you're like a native son of Queen Creek, or almost.
My family moved to Queen Creek in 1948. I was 6 months old. They came out of the Safford, the Gila Valley into Queen Creek to farm. Like a lot of people, they moved as close into the Phoenix as they could afford. And so it happened to be Queen Creek where they could get enough land, take some out of desert, buy a farm, and start farming. And you ask why? Well, just as a side note, I graduated from Chandler High School in '66. Queen Creek did not have a high school. We had a grade school when I was going of about 200, 220 kids at the most. And so it's been a small agrarian community for many years. Our farm straddled the city boundary between Queen Creek and Mesa. Mesa put in a project across from the farm that caused me traffic delays. I couldn't get a tractor across your main road sometimes for 15 minutes waiting on traffic because tractors don't move.
Right.
And so I decided I needed to get involved so I could help things on the farm. And it's amazing. You have these ideas that you're going to go and help your family, help yourself. You get into politics and find out that's the only person you can't help. You can't help family and you can't help yourself. So it turned my head around. Is what is important. It's the community as a whole. I applied for a position on council that was vacant and got turned down. Mark Schneff appointed me to be on the Planning and Zoning Commission. So I was on Planning and Zoning Commission for almost 6 years. Then I did get appointed to a vacant seat on council. And then I ran for re-election twice. So I served on council for 8 years. And then I've been elected mayor for 2 terms. And I'm going to try again for 1 more term. And then I will turn it over to somebody else if reelected this time. So that's my story.
Those are 4-year terms?
4-year terms, yes.
And so deep roots in the community, a lot of history. And my compliments to folks like Mark Schnepp and Steve Sossman, who, because there was a time it wasn't a town even, it was
Correct.
just a place.
It
and
was just-
they
yes.
kind of forged ahead, and it's really kind of special what you guys have done there.
Well, self-government, it's the same thing that's happened many times in many places. You want to control your own destiny. We've got a community to the east of us that's trying to control their own destiny, and hopefully they will succeed.
Good stuff. So, Janet, for our audience, because Chandler's a city and we have a charter, you guys are both towns. Explain to everybody what the difference is, a town and a city, and how that works.
Sure. So we explain this to the Boy Scouts all the time, trying to explain to them in order for them to get their merit badge, right? And that is that it's not about population, and it's not about household size, and it's not about square miles. It's about your designation. And so as a town, we actually don't have a city charter, but we fall under state statutes, and we get our governing authority through the state and from state statutes. And so it doesn't affect us financially in any way,
Right.
shape, or form. We all get state share of revenue based specifically on population. And so there are some reasons, I think, that are good about moving forward with the city charter. Gilbert never sort of followed that path. And I think we've still been able to be successful despite the fact that we don't have a city charter.
So, being under the state, under the, like your elections, do you decide when your elections are, or is it based on whatever the state says for general law, cities,
So
or towns?
the state law actually just changed a few years ago, and I think that's one of the bigger things is that we are very subject to when state law changes, it affects us very directly. So what they did is they required that elections be held in the fall election cycle. They didn't specify odd or even years,
Right.
but because of the cost saving measures, we did choose to go with the even year. It
So-
saves us about $500,000.
So the state says you'll do it in the fall. You, as a town, can then vote as the council, I would think, as whether it's in the odd year or the even
Yeah,
year.
and we did that a few years ago and chose the even years.
Yeah. Yeah, our voters, we formalized the fall cycle. We put a charter amendment out a couple of years ago, and they voted overwhelmingly, like 92, 93%, to be, on the even year
Yep.
and be in the fall
Yeah.
consolidated election
It really
cycle.
saves a lot of money to be on that cycle.
So, Mayor Barney, I want to talk a little bit about regional roles, and you and I were visiting. You've got a couple of regional roles, but maybe you can tell us what some of them are. And I know, Mag, you're getting ready to ascend to the top there.
Yeah, it's been amazing since I've been on the Queen Creek Town Council. I have seen Maricopa County, especially, and the whole state of Arizona, starting to come together as a unit, be more cohesive, working as a team rather than working as individual pockets throughout the valley in competition economically for growth and for businesses. When I first got on council, there was an east side, a west side, a north side, a Maricopa County, a Pinal County, a Tucson. They were all trying to get the same businesses and the same piece of the pie. And as a group, we are working a whole lot better together through a lot of relationships that mayors have formed and cities and towns have formed with each other. And it's been a great boon to the whole state as a whole, and especially for young communities like Queen Creek. We have depended a whole lot when we first incorporated on our neighbors. Chandler, Gilbert, Mesa have all helped Queen Creek get established, get started, be examples, and anytime we've needed help, they have been there to help us and point us in the right direction, I feel.
Yes.
Personally, I'm the vice chair of MAG right now, and I will be ascending to the chairmanship in the next couple of months. I'm on the Phoenix Mesa Gateway Board of Directors, and Mayor Daniels at this moment is the chair of that group. There's been some fantastic things happening in the East Valley there and other entities. Chandler's doing great things with economic growth, and whenever Chandler does anything, I'm a little bit jealous because we don't have the infrastructure and the size of the population, but we do get a lot of carryover. We have a lot of people that work in Chandler. So we have people that work and live and come to Chandler. Plus we get a lot of the businesses that help and create the mom and pop industry that supports a lot of the big businesses that are coming into Chandler. So the better Chandler does, the better Queen Creek does. The better Gilbert does, the better Queen Creek does. So
Yeah.
I want to thank you guys for all your hard work. It helps me.
Well,
It's a team effort.
yeah, and I went out for your state of the town, and I had not been to your new city hall, and that's really, really neat. And all the freeway access you all have now, and so business will follow because you have all the freeways nearby and what have you.
We're trying. We're
Yeah.
like I say, we're young. We're 28 years old.
Yeah.
So we're just now hitting our terrible twos.
Yeah. So, Mayor Daniels, talk a little bit about some of your leadership roles in
Yeah.
the East Valley and what have you.
Well, as Mayor Bernie mentioned, I'm currently the chair of Phoenix Mesa Gateway Airport Authority, and that's been a great regional effort to see the growth there. I'm currently the vice chair of the Transportation Policy Committee for the Maricopa Association of Governments, and I also serve on the League Executive Committee, of which you are the president. And so lots of regional assignments and opportunities, MAG Regional Council. I think more than anything, and this is one of the benefits or maybe counterpoints between council and mayor, is that desire and ability when you sit on these regional boards and commissions to think regionally. When you are on the city council, and I experience this personally, you can get very myopic in your view
Right.
and really looking at your whatever, we're 76 square miles, so you're very much honed in on what's going on there. And
Right.
as you take leadership roles and as you take seats on regional boards and commissions and take on some of that responsibility, you start to see things from a very unique perspective. And that's the beauty of working with our neighbors as well as we do, particularly in the East Valley. But I think as a whole, we all see the ships rising together.
Yeah.
And it's been really exciting, especially coming out of the downturn of the economy, to see what all of our communities have been able to contribute to the region as a whole.
Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned that because we do work. I mean, we do look as like we're a team, all of us mayors, when
That's
we're
right.
working together, and we want all of our cities and towns to succeed, and we're pulling in the same direction, and it's really been a good thing.
Yeah.
You mentioned you're the chair of the Williams Gateway.
Yep, Phoenix Mesa.
Phoenix. You guys had a big announcement not too long ago. You're working on a project. Maybe tell the audience a little bit about that project
Yeah,
that
sure.
deals with the airport in Mexico and what
Yeah,
have
so
you.
it's a 300-acre site on the airport where we've entered into a development agreement with an organization called Skybridge. They are a Mexican-owned company, but their headquarters is located here in Mesa. And they have some opportunity to bring what's called unified cargo processing. And essentially what it is in a nutshell is it's the ability to pre-clear cargo through Mexican customs at site on the Phoenix Mesa Gateway Airport. And what that does is in Mexico, there's only 17 airports that have the opportunity to have customs located. So any flight from here has to go directly to a customs site. Well, if it's pre-cleared cargo, it could go to any of the 138 airports in Mexico.
Wow.
And so it opens up those doors.
Yeah, great.
So.
Thanks. I'm going to reintroduce the show, and then we'll carry on.
Sounds good.
I'm Mayor Jay Tipsherney. You're watching Chandler Inside and Out today. My guests in studio are Mayor Jen Daniels from the town of Gilbert and Mayor Gail Barney from the town of Queen Creek. Thank you both for being here today.
My pleasure.
Great.
Comments, Mayor Barney, on regional cooperation and working with the other mayors and just with the other towns and cities. And we as East Valley, I do think work especially close together. We have every other month, we as mayors get together just to visit with each other and talk about the issue of the day or what have you. But
You stole my thunder.
I stole a little. I didn't steal that much thunder.
That's one of the things that I take a little bit of pride in. I think I work well with people. I get along with most people. And making these relationships was the thing I was not looking forward to as mayor. I thought that would be my downfall. My wife says I'm a party poop. I'm not a social person. But I've come to enjoy getting to know the different mayors, getting to participate in the different activities of the different groups. And when you meet someone like this on a one-to-one basis where I can sit down and talk with you, there's some camaraderie that is built in together. And so when you have a problem or a concern, you can talk to them honestly and openly and have that dialogue that you don't have to hem and haw around and worry about hurting somebody's feelings. And it's just a fantastic thing that we have as mayors now, that we can sit down and talk to each other and maybe disagree agreeably and walk away from it understanding each other's position and being able to work together for the greater good of the community. I've been on different Pinal County associations, different Maricopa County associations, working across these boundaries and city boundaries. Our residents don't care where the line is. They just want services. And that's what this cooperation and these different organizations you're trying to do, is give our residents, our citizens, that continuity of service from one community to another. And I think that's where this regional cooperation comes in at its best.
Yeah, good point. Both of your communities have really grown. So I guess my question, and I'll start with you, Mayor Daniels, how have you guys kept up with the growth? Because your population now is almost the same as ours. I think we're at 250, 260. And I'm not sure what you are, but you guys have had spectacular growth. And I know with that comes the need to keep up with that growth.
Yeah, so I think just the focus on staying ahead of infrastructure and then really smart financial planning, and that gives you options, right, in the future. So I love the partnership that we have in, water treatment expansion or wastewater treatment in some cases. And so we collectively all work together to ensure that those products can really meet the needs of our residents. And I think that's been such a huge help that we've all been able to stay ahead of the curve because of working together, because of the financial positions that all of our communities enjoy. We're all in very healthy financial positions, which gives you options. And it's a constant reprioritization as well. And we find ourselves doing that every year with our capital improvement project plan. And it's a constant sort of staying ahead of the need, and when the needs change, adapting to that as quickly as we can.
You guys have done a lot of thoughtful planning. What is your current population now?
We're a little more than 250,000,
Wow.
so we're just right there.
Yeah.
I
Huge. Unbelievable.
It's incredible that, the little town of Gilbert that was once the hay capital of the world, you talked about 28 years, and we celebrate our centennial in 2020.
Awesome.
So we'll have 100 years, and, the growth to show that we are now an American city, and that we have some of those urban challenges, but we also have a great community with great people and businesses and great neighbors to work alongside. So we're grateful.
You guys really have a unique and special downtown too. It's really nice what you've done.
It's coming along. I
outstanding.
tell people, as far as it's come, we're still just getting started, and there's a lot of opportunity to come.
Yeah. So let's talk about the growth. I mean, I know when I was there for your State of the Town, you talked about some of the growth and things you're doing, and you guys have done a wonderful job, keeping up with the growth. Do you want to chat about that?
You talk about, you guys are both close to 250,000. I like to tell people in the 2000 census, which was just less than 20 years ago, Queen Creek had a population of about 3,200 people. In the 2015 census, we had about 36,000, and we think today in Queen Creek we've got about 44,000.
A lot of growth.
And we've got a couple of communities. We've approved one to be annexed into the town later. Well, about the second week in April, we'll add another 6,000 residents to our community. And so we're growing fast. But like Gilbert, we are trying to plan for the future. We're economically sound. Thanks to some good planning from past councils, being very conservative. Our staff has been very conservative. They like to estimate low on growth and high on expenses so that we are a profitable city. Our bond rating is very excellent. We've got a AA, which for a community of our size and our age is really good. And we're just expanding, we're exploding.
Yeah.
And to keep up with the growth has been a challenge. We've got a council that doesn't always see eye to eye, but we're always doing what we think is best for the community. Because of the diversity on council, we look at projects and options from all different angles. And so I think our result is the best for our community at this time.
Yeah, you guys done really good. So town of Queen Creek lies both in Maricopa County and in Pinal County.
Correct.
How does that work? Or does that affect you at all of being in two different counties?
It affects us in two different counties because when you have elections, you've got people that are voting for county supervisors on both sides of the border. Okay. And so you have rules and regulations that may slightly differ. So you have to work with balance two sets of rules and two sets of regulations. And it's a challenge to staff to keep on top of both of it. but
Right.
we've got such a, and I shouldn't say this on a public forum, we've got the best staff in the world. And I don't want you guys hearing this too quickly because I don't want to lose any of them. But we've got some fantastic people that have done such a fantastic job keeping council informed and doing all of the legwork and making all the preparations. You know, council gets a lot of the credit, but staff does all the work.
Yeah.
And so because of council and because that council has been willing to be on CAG, which is Central Arizona Governments, on the Pinal County Alliance and East Valley Partners that has gone into Pinal County. We try to stay as involved as we can to keep a seat at the table so we can be involved, even though we don't have a lot of residents in Pinal County yet, but that is growing, that we can help our own destiny on that side of the border.
Yeah, that's it. Mayor Daniels, you guys have attracted some really good businesses over the years, especially the last few years you have. And you've got a real dynamic area by Gilbert Road and the 202 freeway where you have a lot of your growth. You want to chat about some of those things?
Yeah, no, we've been really proud of the companies that have found homes in Gilbert. Orbital ATK, which I think we share, just different divisions. And also Silent Air that just did a very large expansion. GoDaddy has their largest concentration of employees in the entire state of Arizona in Gilbert.
I didn't know that.
And so, yeah, there's just a workforce that's available. And again, it's collective because workforce analysis shows that this region has, you know, the right mix of people with the right skill sets and, you know, high education attainment. And so those are all important things. But we're excited about Rivulon. That's the major development. It's about 260 acres. It's just north of the 202 freeway between Gilbert and Lindsay roads. We are still working on a Lindsay 202 interchange, which will, I think, help both of our communities and alleviate some of the stress on the Gilbert Road interchange and also the Val Vista Road interchange. And
when
so
will that happen? Because you guys have really done a good job of working that through the MAG process and and it's on the books now, isn't it?
It is, and it's slated now for 2021. But we are hopeful that we can move that schedule up a little.
That's
and,
Val Vista then.
It's Lindsay Road.
Lindsay.
Yep.
And will that be a 4 interchange?
Full interchange, yeah, full diamond. So.
That'll be pretty spectacular.
Yeah, it'll be great. I think it'll be great, really, for both of our communities, because you know, Lindsay heading south, you're hitting Chandler. So.
Yeah, no, that's great. I was at a Chandler Chamber event this morning on one of our businesses, the Porsche car dealership. They said, yeah, they're kind of jumping over Gilbert Road, and they're going to put a car dealership next to that one, but it'll be in Gilbert.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, so I think it was going to be Audi or something.
Yep, we have Audi coming, Volvo is there now, and Mercedes-Benz in that same Rivulon area. So
that's a real hot area for cars, both on your side of Gilbert Road, our side, and good tax revenues for both of our communities.
You bet.
So, Mayor Barney, basically you've been putting the infrastructure in and you've got all this residential growth. And how has the growth here in the valley affected maybe your business growth?
Well, we've had in the last 6 months a couple of great things happen. Last council meeting, we actually started the paperwork for our first hotel. And it'll be in the downtown area, which is going to be a boon to a lot of other businesses. We've got our first car dealership that just opened up in the last couple of months. Rodeo Earnhardt Ram Dodge, you know, so you guys are talking the sports cars. We're talking the pickups. So
some of those pickups are pretty fancy.
That's right.
Oh, geez. Yeah, don't talk
so
about
Earnhardt's has a
yes.
dealership in Queen Creek.
In Queen Creek.
That's great.
They're going to be out in an area that was just annexed into the community out on Empire and Ellsworth, south of town. Right now, they've got a temporary dealership right by the library. So we've got a car lot right in the middle of town, which didn't sit well with a lot of our residents until they found out it was just temporary. So until they got their bricks and mortar south of town. And we've got a lot of other businesses, a lot of restaurants that want to come in, and we're looking for office space. We're trying to set a contract with some people to build some more office space. We just don't have enough of what people are looking for in Queen Creek. So unfortunately, they're having to go to Chandler and Mesa and Gilbert. But with our infrastructure, we're hoping to catch up with some of the office space and some of those types of businesses.
It'll happen because you're real close to freeway access there. Or maybe, are any of those interchanges actually reside within the town of Queen Creek?
Not yet. We've got SR 24, which is about 4 miles north of us, which will come through, and it's going to go all the way to Ironwood,
Mm-hmm.
which will help open up the Santan Valley area and relieve our congestion a little bit in town. But things are happening. We've spent $150 million in the last 10 years on our own infrastructure, and we've got $190 million planned for the next 10 years, which is non state money because we don't have a part of the sales tax, the Prop 400. So we're looking
Oh.
forward to hopefully the next round of taxes and the next round of not increase in taxes, but the continuation to help with our specific problems. But we'll see how that plays
You didn't
out.
have any projects that qualified under Prop 400, is that?
When Queen Creek Incorporated, we made a sweetheart deal with the county. We didn't take in any roads.
Oh,
And so when we finally took charge of the roads, Prop 400 had been planned. And so we got none of the, unintended consequences.
well,
So we got none of that money, but we didn't have to pay for or build a lot of the roads to begin with. So, sometimes what you get, you work with and move on and live and learn. So,
yeah.
but we are a growing community, and transportation is one of our major concerns right now.
Great. Just got about a minute or two left. Any closing thoughts on the great town of?
I think just how much we appreciate the region within which we operate. I mean,
Yeah.
there is this region is second to none.
Yeah.
And the opportunity that we have, the continued opportunities for growth and advancement. I'm excited that we're creating communities that our kids and grandkids can come back to and find jobs and find beautiful homes and neighborhoods and safe schools to live in. So I think by all statements, we are definitely in the right place at the right time.
My hat's off to you because I know you have a lot of responsibilities at the city, and you have you have 4 kids, 4 young kids,
That's
and
right.
so you do a spectacular job managing that and balancing that. And, excellent.
I want them to come back and live in Gilbert.
That'd be good. All right. Well, thank both of you for joining me today. We appreciate you coming to Chandler and talking about your outstanding towns. Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
I'm Mayor Jay Tipshare. You've been watching Chandler Inside and Out. I hope you enjoyed the program. Until we see you again, take care and be safe.